you never get anything given to you. You got to go out there and get it.
You can learn from anybody as long as you're humble enough to accept it.
Okay, welcome back everyone. Episode 5 with the Revitalize Your Life podcast with myself, Mark, and our first guest speaker, Niall. I'm so excited for this. This is one that's been in the works for a while. So we apologize that we've been a little bit distant. It's all good though, guys. We're looking forward to going on this journey with you. And we've got some fantastic content lined up for today. And without further ado, let's introduce the man himself, Niall. Welcome.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on. It's cool to. I think this is the first time we're all three sitting down in a conversation. So it's I'm excited to see. We've been speaking about some really cool sort of topics here and there, saving it for this conversation. So I'm excited.
Me too, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I guess how we can start is I guess like how we kind of got to know each other. So, you know, I think Niall was stalking me and Joey on Instagram for a little while, and then just reached out, and we made connections from there, and we just got into good conversations. And obviously, then Niall was like, "Okay, this is what I'm bringing out. This is the product that we're doing. I think we can align here with kind of what you guys talk about." And we were like, "Hell yeah, this is definitely something that we can talk about, and definitely something that we are aligned with." Tried out the product, loved it. Then obviously met up at the Health Optimization Summit in person for the first time, which was cool. Saw every time I went to actually go and speak to Niall just so we could have a conversation, there was like people queuing to get his drink. And I was like, okay, I'll come back. I must have done that over the course of 2 days. I must have done that like 100 times. And then bless him, every time I'd see him, I'd have a little bit of a shake because I never had time to eat. So I was literally living off the Organised shake the whole way through the summit, which was just incredible. So it's testament to the product that actually sustained me and him and his crew the whole way through. But yeah, that was such an awesome thing to see. And that was actually obviously where we first kind of properly met and connected and stuff. And now we're here, which is brilliant.
Nice. So, I appreciate that. Yeah. I think one thing that's quite interesting is during the period, and I don't know if we've spoken about it, but when I was reaching out to you, I've been working on this product for a year. And in that time, when you're not selling a product, you're building the brand, the website, the photography, the shoots, everything. There's so much you can do before you start to think outside the box a little bit. And a lot of it's gone into my personal growth. So obviously built my personal platform. And that's part of the lead up of launching the product. But a big thing that I've been doing on my own journey was, I'd just gone to Australia. I was there for 3 months, just gearing up to the launch, did a photo shoot out there for the brand, wanted to really dive into creating content, be in a beautiful place and everything. But one thing I started doing was reaching out to someone new every single day. And I don't know where I saw it. It might have been a LinkedIn post. I don't know who the original person was, but there was something about networking. And networking is one of those terms that people say, go and speak to someone new, you learn different things like network, but like it's such a vague thing to say to someone without actually realizing like where the value comes from it. So just saw that post, reach out to someone new every day. And then it was kind of like just messaging and stuff to begin with. I didn't have a platform, so it was kind of difficult. As the platform grew, I managed to get conversations with some really cool people like yourselves. And it was during that period that I started to reach out. And one thing I've been doing is pretty much consistent, and some days, up to 3 people, but just speaking to someone new on a call every day, 30-minute conversation mostly. And it's just sharing stories. There's no incentive. There's no, we can work together. We can create this thing. We can sell it. And like, it's not incentivized in any way. It's purely just to hear a story. And for me, like, this is what networking is about. Sharing my story, sharing their story, seeing the overlap. Then there's kind of a few things like it feels really inspiring. So a lot of the time I leave the conversation, there's no follow-up steps. It's not us going to be working together in any way. And there's so many different people doing different things. Everyone's focused on themselves and what they're doing. But I feel really motivated. And I get a message from the person I've just spoken to, like, this thing you were talking about, I've just started implementing it. So it's like sharing value. And I remember the conversation we had, Mark, and I think you're one of the people that had the most overlap at doing very different things. And it's exciting because it's like the yin and yang and stuff. And so that's why I was excited to jump on the call, speak to you guys. There is so much that you're doing that's what, and it's all, a lot of it's like what I'm looking into in the health industry. You're just like years ahead of me about it. And it's like, there's so much with that, but then I've been in the supplement industry and you're diving into that, and there's things that we can share. And that's what I like about networking. That's where the original conversation came from.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And you touched on so many crossover points there, like the supplement side of things. Like all three of us have probably spent inordinate amounts of money on supplements and realize that, you know, doing it thinking this is going to fix everything. This is going to fix everything. That the one supplement to rule them all. But yet I'm taking 50 at once and I don't really know what's working. And if it is that or this, or, but now I feel worse. And is it that? Like, we've all been down that kind of that dark rabbit hole of just burning money away, where we're just buying this supplement, this. And obviously you working for a supplement kind of supplier, I guess, like health, you were going to be testing these things before they were being sent out as well. So you've probably taken more supplements in one space of time than what we have. So, I mean, I remember you said to me in the conversation yesterday that there was that moment you were making the lion's mane coffee thing, and you had like, dude, this is such a funny story, but it's like adding everything into the coffee. It's like everything you could possibly imagine, every adaptogen, I guess maca and cacao and everything else going in there. It's like, yeah, I don't feel too well.
Overload. I like to test boundaries. I like to see where the limit is. And that comes from just wanting to feel optimal. But it's also, when it comes to supplements, I'm a kid in a candy store. And I used to think that it was the be all and the end all of everything. Right, just to give context, it was running the health pop-up store. And there was we called it the health bar. And you could come in. And if you've ever seen Erewhon, I'm trying to think of a UK equivalent. It's kind of like a smoothie, but everything's just supplement branded. And you go in the back and it's just shelves of every single type of supplement brand that you could ever dream of. And there's me making it for the customer all day long. And I'm just thinking, I wonder what would happen if you mix these two together. And it's like, before I knew it, I put everything into this one drink. And then I was running to the toilet after that one.
Oh, damn.
Adaptogenic overload.
Yeah.
Sounds it.
Yeah. It's so funny though, but it just goes to show, like, because everybody has this same thing where, and Joe, you will probably have this as well with your clients, where I've got 3 clients that come to mind instantly where I'm like, right, I want to know what you're currently taking. So send me either a spreadsheet or pictures on WhatsApp of what you're currently taking. And when they start, I get like a on my phone, and then a on my phone. And this is happening like 60 times in a row. I'm thinking, who's messaging me? Like, why can't they just put it all into one sentence? Who's like literally stopped messaging me the whole way through, like one word at a time? And I look, and it's one of these clients sending me every supplement they're taking. And I'm like, holy crap, that's more than what I would be taking. Like, that's insane. Like, even if I was testing something out, I wouldn't be taking this many supplements. And I'm looking at it thinking, okay, so what works then? Why are you taking them? Do you even know? And when you say to them, so, okay, so why are you taking them? I don't know. I just saw it. You know,
yeah, I saw my influencer. This influencer, he was promoting it. They had really good skin. They they had a glowing, like godlike skin, gut health. Yeah. And that's where I got in. And it's all marketing, you know.
Of course it is. It's ridiculous, though. It's ridiculous.
That's
and the first thing, but that's true. It is all sales, but it's no different from going out and buying loads of shoes or buying loads of trousers or bags or jewelry or whatever else that you want to collect. Like, it literally is supplement collection. And this is what happens in the biohacking industry. They collect supplements, but they also collect devices. So you'll go there and they'll have like 6 different red light devices. We only need 1. You need 6 more. They're all giving out red light. You don't need any more than that. I've got a cold plunge as well. What have we got a cold plunge for? You've got a bath. Just run a bath. Run a cold bath and put ice in it. You don't need to spend $4,000 on a cold plunge. Or go outside and jump in a lake. That's going to be the easiest way for you to do that.
That's the one. Because that's something you don't get in an ice bath, is the element of nature. Yeah. Water that's been there, it's been cleansed by the plants. And this is going to our conversation that we had recently that blew my mind on quantum biology, being grounded. I mean, there's no other way there's nothing that has the same effectiveness as being in water that is surrounded by plants with all these negative ions feeding into it. You got the sun on you, you're outside.
Yep.
An ice bath is good. Like if you have the convenience, you jump in, go to the sauna, it's great.
Yep.
But I'm lucky enough to have at my dad's place this beautiful 25-meter pool that was dug out, the regeneration area on the side. The water flows around, feeds in from they call it the leat. I'd never heard of a leat before, but it's like the river, a small little river thing, like fresh water, and it's coming in, being cleansed and like filtered by the plants. And you go in there, and it's just like I would never ever want to have a cold. I would never have it. But I'm very fortunate to have that situation. Yeah. My dad's also gone and built. He loves it. He's built wood fire sauna, so we get that crank in. It takes about an hour, so it's not convenient. But I love the whole, and I think this is the very Scandinavian sort of traditional side that I love, is building the fire, sitting there with I've got 4 little brothers. They sit in with me. And it's such a cool experience that is so at one with nature, and it's bringing that. It's not, I wouldn't call it a biohack, but it's what you look at, like, sauna, cold plunge, biohack. But it's so traditional, and it's there's nothing that compares with the feeling that you get from it.
No, it's true.
I agree. When can we come round, Niall? That sounds amazing. I've actually been looking at this. We've been looking at different houses and trying to come up with the long-term plan. And I want to try and move back to where I used to grow up in nature. Best childhood ever. We've discussed this on our podcast before, right, Mark? Mm-hmm. I agree, mate. Like I've always had this vision of building a wood-fired sauna at the bottom of the garden. Filling an old whiskey barrel, doing a cold plunge, but like the same thing works at a regular bath. But if you're fortunate enough to have wild swimming spots or live by the sea, even better.
It's just to jump in. It's funny you mentioned the whiskey barrel, because you just given me a reminder. I've got one sat in my garden, and I'm so used to seeing it now that it's become part of the furniture in the garden. I actually bought the whiskey barrel, £70. I pretended to be. What was I doing? I was pretending to be a company that wanted to buy whiskey barrels to resell. So I managed to get a super cheap whiskey barrel sent from Scotland in the Highlands as a sample. I was so stoked. Came to the garden, filled it with water. I was using it for a little bit, filling it with ice, like very cool. I was like, wow, just like I've got my ice bath now. And this is in my home in Maidenhead, so I don't have access to the pool. About a week in, I started to get this like weird smell that was coming from it. And I was like, shit, I think it's the water. And then I just stopped using it for a little bit. I opened the lid. There's literally creatures in there that I've never, ever seen before. And I didn't know existed. And I looked them up, and it's some type of mite or something. And it turns out you need to have fresh water in there, and you need to have a tap to release it, which I didn't have. So now I literally have a whiskey barrel that's sat in the garden, managed to get the water out I drilled a hole into it. I haven't used it since. It's been there for a few years. But if anyone's thinking about getting a whiskey barrel, make sure you have the proper installation of a tap for it.
Good. Oh, mate. But this just goes to show, right, as you say, the natural hack, right? And I don't like using the word hack, but we'll use it because people like the word. The natural hack, because you've got the aspect of nature. When you're in a body of water that is outside and it's natural, it's not man-made, it is earthed, so you're grounded. And you've got the natural light reflection. And you've got to remember, like when light hits the sea, certain amounts of frequency and spectrum drop through the water. And that's why you've got like light-loving creatures at the top, and you've got like the darkness at the bottom, because light doesn't penetrate that far. So you're getting the benefits of the light spectrum there as well. So you're getting light, you're getting grounding, you're getting cold thermogenesis and cold therapy, which is good for the body. You're also in an environment which is completely natural with nature. So you're getting all the phytonutrients and stuff that's around you, and all the phytochemicals from the plants. But most importantly, you are doing something which ancestrally our body has been doing for, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 years, like however long the human race has been going on for, like nobody really knows. So like the body knows. It doesn't know a bath. It doesn't know what that is, because it's water in a man-made structure, in a man-made material, suspended, not connected to anything. Well, all of our water experiences ancestrally would have been in a river or a lake or a sea. It has got everything else around it. So our body doesn't know what's going on when we're in a bath or in a cold plunge or in a whiskey barrel. It doesn't know what we're doing in there. So there's no real connection. And I think this is the thing that's missing from so much of this is it's convenience over connection. People are just deliberately choosing convenience. I don't have time. Joe, we've said this so many times. It's not about not having time. It's about priority. Like, what's more important to you? So, okay, you're living in a high rise or you're living in a block of flat or in flats like I am here. I don't have access to a garden. I haven't got a cold plunge. I've got a bath, so I use that. And I wouldn't go and swim in the lake that's near me because it's man-made. So there's no way of it filtering itself. So you get that horrible pond scum, and I would not go anywhere near it because it does not smell pleasant. But if I had open water that I could go into or a beach, I'd be in there every day. Every day. Or if I just move to Niall's dad's place, I'll just be in that pool. Yeah. Just never leave. Just do my work from there, jump into the sauna. But yeah, I think that's the bit that we miss, is the connection side of things, for sure.
Just to jump in there as well with the water. So you got the tap water as well that's feeding into the bath, and it's important to note that with tap water, why that's bad, the contaminants, the runoff that you get, pharmaceutical runoff, industrial runoff.
Yep.
The pipes that were built to carry the water were made 60, 70, 80 plus years ago. Some of them are older. And actually, I live in a Victorian house. I'm sure they're about 100 years old. Haven't been made from lead and copper. And it's leaching into the water that we drink. And not to mention the fluoride that gets added. So when obviously that comes with drinking it, it's going into your body, it's straight in. But when you actually sit in a bath, your skin is the most absorbent organ in the body. It's taking in everything that you're sitting in.
It's true.
And that's just another layer to it.
Oh, definitely. All my clients and myself, I've got a shower filter and a bath filter, and obviously a filter for my drinking water. But you would not catch me sitting in a bath that's just normal tap water. That's not happening. But that leads me to a point, and this was something that we were talking about yesterday, about structured water and the difference between water that is natural and coming from a spring or from a mountaintop or what have you, and water that is passed through filtration systems that is made by man. And we were talking about, I can't remember the guy's name, the Japanese researcher. I'll have to remember his name, but he's the guy that basically prayed to water and then froze it, and then sent really ugly thoughts and evil thoughts to water and froze it. And when you look at the images, the one that's got love and prayer being sent to it, it looks like a snowflake and it has this beautiful mandala pattern. That's structured water. And then you've got the one that had evilness sent to it, and that's all like deformed and out of shape, and there's no structure. That is the water that comes through our taps. It's unstructured. There is no structure to it whatsoever. It is water in an unnatural state, where we need structured water. So water that is free flowing, it vortexes. Everything runs as a vortex. And this vortexing spins the water so fast that the particles form a structure. And it now has like a grid structured shape. And when we drink that helps our body create easy water or exclusion zone water, which is the fourth phase. So again, going back to that point, filter your water. Please don't drink that water. Go out and be in natural waters, bodies of water, so you're getting that structured water around you. Because again, the skin being the largest organ, if you're outside in a lake, which is free flowing, you are getting this vortex structured water, and that has been absorbed into your cells, and that is what they want. They need that type of water to create this exclusion zone water, which the mitochondria and our fascia need to stay hydrated. And this is why most people, Joe, when we're seeing them on their bloods where they've got dehydration, it's some of it's electrolytes for sure, but it's actually telling us that the mitochondria and the fascia are dehydrated because they've not got structured water. It's got nothing to do with water. It's got to do with structured water. Just as tangent, but that's just what we were talking about yesterday.
It's super interesting. And you were telling me this yesterday, and it blew my mind when I saw the image of the guy that prayed into the water and then sent hate into the other water. I'm curious, like, what do you draw from that? Because you say the one with the hate is what we're getting through the taps. So what is the connection between sending the love and the good? Like, is it energy? Like,
frequency. It's frequency. Yeah. So again, like as we spoke yesterday, you've got Nikola Tesla that said, if you want to understand the universe, think in frequency and vibration. And when you're talking about quantum biology, you're talking about light, water, and magnetism. Again, frequency and vibration. So everything that we do is a frequency or a vibration. So when we're speaking, this is obviously sound. So we're getting that vibrational wave. This is why what we speak does have power, because it's manifest through this frequency vibrational wave. When we are thinking, our heart and our brain are antennas, basically. They're giving out a frequency, an electromagnetic frequency. So our heart, when we're thinking something loving and has feeling to it, this is why prayers and stuff have that connection. They're not just a thought. What makes it a prayer is because of the fact you've got feeling to it. So when you put emotion into your thought, it becomes like a prayer. So by sending that out, and you've got an actual thing you're sending it to, it will absorb that frequency, because we have to remember that is the one quality of water that separates it from everything else, is it will absorb anything, absolutely anything, and it will take it into its surface and it will become part of that thing. So by sending that thought to it, you are changing its structural shape. And like we discussed yesterday, water has memory, and this is why it holds that shape. Obviously it's frozen as well, because that's how they get the picture, but even without that picture and without it being frozen, it would still hold that shape, because water has memory. It remembers, and they've only just started finding this out. And this is why, as I was saying to you yesterday as well, like fascia that uses this exclusion zone water in the body, the reason why, if it's not hydrated or treated properly, it will start to basically decompress and decompose. It'd be like me shrinking this shirt down 3 sizes too small while I'm wearing it, because it's remembering the trauma that I've put it through, whether it's an accident or an injury, or I've beaten it too much in the gym. It will just start to constrict, because I'm not giving it a new free flowing form of loving energy and on vibration. So yeah, that's my kind of way. It's a little bit woo, I get it. But again, we're talking about quantum. So we're going like Ant-Man and the Wasp level quantum, right down to that subcellular level. And that is what we are. So everything goes down to that point. And when you talk about that, that is frequency, vibration, light, water, magnetism. And that's how we can influence that water molecule and make it into that shape, and how you can make it into the evil shape as well. And there's so many people that have done this now. There's another lady, I forget what her name is, but she's literally just written a book about it. She's carried on this researcher's work, and she's doing a tour around Europe, actually. She's coming to the UK soon. She's going to talk through her work as to all these different crystalline shapes that she's managed to manifest in the water. So that she'll visualize like a rose, and she'll be sending this image of a rose to the water, and she'll freeze the water. And when she takes a picture, it's a bloody rose. And you're like, how, what? Like, what? So it just goes to show you the power that we possess in our mind, in our hearts, of how we can emit, kind of push things out into a manifestational kind of way. So yeah, that's how I see that way.
I was going to add to that as well. What helped me, for those who are listening, to get a better understanding for all this, because when we were talking about this, Mark, it was kind of a different layer. But like the quantum realm, like in the Ant-Man and the Wasp, it can be like another layer upon another layer, and it's quite hard to comprehend.
It's very
There's a great book though that I'd urge everyone to read, called Letting Go, by David R. Hawkins, and he touches base on this. It's like the spiritual, emotional, vibrational frequency chart, and how you can attach certain emotions to that frequency. So if we look at the bottom of that scale, that circular pattern, what were we saying, Mark? The
vortex.
The vortex, and that shape. We can look at the bottom of it, and we can attach things like shame, then guilt. Then it goes up the scale: apathy, grief, fear, desire, and you got anger, pride, and then it neutralizes at courage. And then you got neutrality, and then you got willingness, acceptance, reason. And then on the higher end of the spectrum, you have love, you have joy, peace, and enlightenment. That is the top end. So it does make sense if you project those emotions, as wishy-washy as that sounds. But we know in Chinese medicine, we know the emotional organ clock. We see this with clients day in, day out. If you suppress things emotionally, they will resurface at some point. They can cause disease within an organ. Yep. So the same thing goes when we, voice our opinion and move through this frequency, these different levels in the quantum realm. But like Ant-Man and the Wasp with emotion, it makes a lot of sense. But I definitely check that out. That definitely helped me break down like just distill it into a lot simpler formats, that's for sure. But
I need to remember this guy's name.
I was explaining it to my mum because we had this conversation, me and Mark, yesterday, and I'd say, I've been deep into supplements, then it went to nutrition, whole foods. I've been obsessed with this sort of, and I've never done any sort of like qualifications or anything. It's all just been on my own back, researching for probably 9 years, just obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Probably in the last 2 weeks have I only just discovered quantum biology, and I'm so excited because one thing that I've realized is like you get to the stage, you learn pretty much everything within what you're looking in, and then it's quite easy to feel like I know everything. I did it, and you want to get out that mindset and remember that we are always a student, and to have that mindset, this growth mindset, open mindset, always learning. And I had it just absolutely blow my mind when I discovered quantum biology because it's this completely new door. And a lot of it's what I've been practicing, eating seasonal, eating local, trying to get into nature, grounding, sunlight. But it's given me a lot of clarity because I know it's good to do that, but this is why you need to do that. And it's really connecting the dots for me. I was trying to explain it to my mum this morning. I don't have a deep enough understanding yet. And
you will do. I don't.
She was saying to me, she's like, because I've got her into the nutrition, so she's doing that right. She knows she needs to eat local, and I'm trying to explain why. And then she's ordering a load of bananas and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not sure I want to be eating bananas anymore. I want to try and eat. Right now, we're in summer. There's a lot of good fruit in the UK, berries. We grow blackberries in the bush, and this is how we got into conversation. And I just didn't have maybe to a level like empathy, but then also just the articulation of it, because however I described it, she was just laughing. She's like, this sounds woo-woo hippie shit. She's like, I don't think I believe in it. And I'm like, because when you really understand it, it's so tied into nature. And it's like, I don't believe in it. Well, how can you not believe in nature? And it's just me, the way that I was articulating it. So it's really interesting to break it down. I think it's a very new topic. We're just starting to get into it. I'm not really seeing it on my social media feed is just health and nutrition and learning, and I'm not seeing a lot of it other than what Mark's talking about and a few people, Dr. Jack Cruz speaking about it. But it's still, I wouldn't put myself as like a novice in this sort of space, and I'm still struggling to get into it. It's going to take a long time. So I think there's a real big step that needs to happen in finding ways to connect it to why we ground, why we get local fruit, why we need to be in the ocean, why everything has. One thing that really did it for me was all the food, everything that grows, the plants, even the animals, they store light mass. So everything is like, food is just stored light mass, and it contains information. And the information is the latitude, longitude, where it's on the earth, where it was grown, where it came up, the sun that hit it, this specific angle, the time of day, the season, everything stored into food. And so when you consume that food, it needs to be in line with your body. So that's why we go out and we ground. And this is just my understanding. This is like super basic, but this is why we go out, we ground, and we get the light. We go in the sea. We do everything we can to be in tune. And the first level is like, oh, we'll sleep better. But it's like, why do we sleep better? Every single cell in our body operates on its own individual clock. But it goes deeper than that. It's also our gut microbiome. And Mark told me that our gut microbiome is different in winter than it is in summer. And so therefore, and that's to do with the seasonality. And that's all that information stored in the fruit and the food and even the animal products that we eat. That's why it's got to be aligned with our body. So that really helped me to understand it. Still working on it. So much. I'm absolutely fascinated by it. So I'm glad that I came across you guys and we can go deep into it.
Quantum biology is a very, very fascinating but yet complicated system. So, if you take Dr. Jack Cruz as an example, I've been studying this now for like 6 months. It took me like 10 hours to read one of his blogs, and that was just to read it. That wasn't to understand it. That was just to read it. And then it took me another 2 days to understand it, because the guy's level of knowledge is insane, and he refuses to dumb it down because he's like, no, natural selection. If you are clever enough to understand it, you will survive. If you're not clever enough to understand it, you won't. Simple as. I'm not making this easier for you, which I get. But it does then make it hard to translate that to normal people who don't have that level of understanding, because they are stuck in the calories in, calories out, nutrition, any food is good for you as long as it's a healthy food, which is not true. To add to what you're saying about the banana, well, we can expand this a little bit for people that want to understand. If we're thinking of light, water, and magnetism, and as you said, now everything is a packet of light. That is how all food is. Like a cow that's grazing, the sun is hitting its hide and its skin, so it's been absorbed through the skin, and the sun is hitting the grass, which has the light packets going inside, and they have photosynthesis. That's how they grow. So they're taking the energy from the sun, the light from the sun, turning it into a sugar, glucose, and then they grow. And that's how it happens. But this has to happen under certain light frequencies. So grass will grow all year round because it doesn't need UVA or UVB. But when you look at fruit of certain vegetables, they need UVB. A banana, as an example, needs UVB, but it needs a particular strength of UVB as well as a particular temperature from the sun. Plus, it needs a certain magnitude and placement, latitude on the earth. So that's why they're only grown in tropical countries. So yes, we probably could grow a banana here, but it'll be weak and it'll be awful and it would not be good for us because it's not meant to be here. So if you then eat a banana in the depths of winter, you're having a tropical fruit from like a 30 degree latitude near the equator in a 50-second latitude country like the UK, and it's dark out. So the clocks in our eyes, the suprachiasmatic nucleus is saying it's winter, the skin temperature is cold, so it knows it's cold, and the light frequency is low because there's no UVB. And it's a very short period of time. We have light for like 3 hours in the winter here. So we don't have time to have the UVB spectrum. The sun's not at the right angle. So you're now sending a packet of light into your body. Our cells, as you say now, has these clocks which tell it what time of day it is, what time of year it is, temperature-wise, all that stuff. And you've now given it a food, which is the complete opposite. Complete opposite. And yeah, okay, our body will handle it. But for the mitochondria and for our cells and our microbiome, which all communicate via light, this is what people forget. The mitochondria produce light at 330 nanowaves. Our bacteria in our gut communicate via ultraviolet light. That's how they speak to each other. So you're now sending in a light packet which is not supposed to be there. That's like an adult being on a kid's slide. They will not go down well. It will happen, but you might break a few things on the way down. Well, that's what happens in the body when we eat things out of season. And that is how quantum biology, to wrap this up in a nice little bow, that is how quantum biology explains why eating seasonally is the natural way to go, because nature doesn't make mistakes. We do. And we are an outdoor mammal living an indoor existence with the accessibility of anything at any time. And that's just eating a natural food at the wrong time of year. Now imagine eating processed food all year round. What is that doing to the body when it comes to chaos?
Oh,
oof.
It's a good way to put it.
That's a topic for another podcast, I think.
Yeah. But it's cool. I think when I try because I've been in the nutrition, just talking about whole foods and everything, that's kind of my space, really understanding, getting away from the processed foods, whatever your diet is, vegan, carnivore, animal-based, everyone can agree that when it comes to food, we need to be eating whole foods.
Yes.
That is the kind of message. And I want to get everyone on the same team. And rather than being like, fuck vegans, like whatever, it's like, at the end of the day, we want better health. Even just that in itself, there's pushback around, I'm seeing it online, pushback around ultra processed foods. And it's because we've grown up and we're now saying that everything you've grown up eating isn't good for you. And so there's obviously going to be people that struggle to understand that, and they like the art of it, they like the Doritos, they don't want to get rid of that, they want the cereal in the morning, they like their bread with peanut butter and jam on it. But now you're telling them that, okay, so you tell them to eat fruit, tell them to eat whole foods. Now you're saying, okay, you can't eat every fruit. It's got to be certain fruit. So it's another layer of complexity for people.
Yeah. And
it's just an idea. It's just an idea that we have to put out there, talk about it, explain it, understand it ourselves. And then over time, I think the results kind of show for itself. And it's the same with a lot of these diets out there. Personally, I'm seeing with vegan diets, there was such a big trend 10 years ago. And there are so many people now that, the classic timeline for someone to become animal-based or carnivore or whatever the diet is, like they start vegan. And it's exactly the same for me. I started vegan for 2 months. The first month didn't really notice a difference. Second month was one of the worst months of my life. I was so underweight. terrible skin issues. I play a lot of football, performance just dropped. I think when you lose weight and wasn't recovering, it was just a nightmare. So that is the classic. And then okay, something's missing, the nutrients, you get the nutrients in, then you go all the way to the other side. It's like, went to carnivore for a bit, then you find the balance. And when you really become in tune with your body and in tune with nature, then it becomes, okay, I'm open-minded now. And now I know I want to be as natural as possible, eating more fruit seasonally in time. If you're in the UK, it's going to be a lot of berries, pears and everything. Then you get into winter and you're going to be eating a lot less fruit because we wouldn't have had that fruit access in the winter, and the vegetables as well. It's the same. Yep. So that's just, it's just going to take time. And I think the people that are learning about it, the people that are open-minded are the ones that are going to start to learn, go dive into it. But you can't change everyone's mind, especially with a complex subject.
It took me years, and we've said this before. With we'll deep dive into your journey, I think, now, because that'd be a good place to go. I was similar, having these debilitating health challenges because of chronic fatigue. But I was indoors all the time. Relate back, I was not getting outside in nature, although I grew up in nature as a child. And I was, behind a screen. It wasn't, artificial light, processed diet. But this is because of, we're all from the UK. And for those who are in the UK that went through, public schools or private schools, depending on the availability of food, it was mostly processed food. It wasn't until I went to, possibly like you guys, secondary school. Like primary school, we had like home fresh cooked dinners by amazing dinner ladies that would, get local food, cook it from scratch. It was very minimally processed. Then you went to secondary school. And then from secondary school, you've gone from like having everything done for you. Now you've got all this choice. You've got pizza, you've got burgers, you've got cake for breakfast. Of course, it's like giving crack to a crack addict. You've never had access to this food as a kid, nor did your parents. Like my parents, we always cooked fresh food. Very, very fortunate. But you've now got, pizza for breakfast? I'm in. And that's where it begins, because there's no education. That is the norm. And if you were caught eating a salad, God forbid, because you would be the outsider. You wouldn't be in that tribe. You wouldn't fit in those friend circles. And that's where this dysfunction and this such big extraction from eating natural foods began. We normalized eating crap, basically. And I had a long time before the penny dropped for me, especially been working in the fitness industry, almost like it's okay to eat grenade bars. It's okay to eat, carb killer spread on bagels and eat post-workout, It's great because everyone else is doing it and they're in great shape. But then when you realize, actually, I look and I feel shit. Yeah. Like, I'm nutrient deficient. I've got all these things wrong with my gut, my skin, thyroid, hair.
But I've got a six-pack.
Yeah, I've got a six-pack. Yeah!
That means I'm healthy. Yeah,
and it's true. Where we can all relate, isn't it, guys? So
it's just being honest. It's having self-awareness, being in tune with your body, and then being like, okay. I mean, subconsciously you can know something's not right, but what we do is we attach especially if you're in the health industry, an influencer, you got a platform, you attach your identity to a diet, and then it's people that don't want to be open that they're always learning, and the original content they put out a year ago isn't what they actually believe, and they stick to it, and it's like then it comes out in insecurities and attacking other people that say that you're wrong, you have conflicting views. And I think we need, this is something that I have this such big belief that even on the day that I die, I will learn something, because I want to learn every single day. And so if I have that mindset, obviously what I put out a year ago is not going to be what I believe now, because you can only learn so much at a time. Yep. That's your knowledge. You do the best you can with the knowledge you have right there and then, but it's always evolving, and it's being humble. Having humility that what I put out, actually, there's a better way. I've just learned this, and you need to be open and honest about that. And I think a lot of people struggle to have that humility, and just being completely honest with themselves before even putting out on their influencer platforms and stuff.
I want to pause just at that moment for a second, not the recording, but just for a moment. I wish I had a picture of a sink at a front door so I could tell everybody to let that sink in. This is a very, very important point that Niall just made here, which is to come into everything in life with that beginner's mindset. because as you say, what you believed 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, it changes. Like what I believed when I was in my teens, I don't believe any of that now. Like there's no way I believe any of that now. Like I've learned and failed so much. And to come into everything with humility is so important. And this will then allow this detachment from this identification with the thing that you do. What you do is not who you are. Who you are is who you are. Some people, I don't want to hit on particular diet types, but people say, oh, I'm a carnivore, I'm a vegan. No, you're not. That's a way of eating. You can't be a way of eating. That doesn't make sense. You have an identity which you are attaching to a thing. That's like me saying, I like this chair I'm sitting on, so I am a black leather chair. No, I'm not. I'm not a black leather chair. I am a human being. And what I am is separate from what I do. So I think having that humility, having some humbleness to say, okay, I can learn from anybody. I can learn from a 5-year-old child. I can learn from a 90-year-old man. I can learn from my neighbor's cat. Whatever wants to teach me something, right? Whatever wants to teach me something. Like I got schooled yesterday by one of my students. I'm on a blood work call with him, teaching him bloods. And I said something and he was like, well, isn't that? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if that's that and that's that, well, then that would equal this. And that means you wouldn't have to do it like that. You could do it like this and get to the result quicker. And I was like, God damn, kid's right. I was like, oh my God, he's actually right. I've been doing it this way round for years. And he's basically just said to me, you're playing 6 chords when one will do on a guitar. And I'm like, yeah, fair dues. Yeah. So you can learn from anybody as long as you're humble enough to accept it. So I think this is a very, very important point that I just wanted to let everybody let that sink in for a moment of what Niall was saying. Please go back and listen to that whole thing that he said again, because it's one of the biggest lessons you're ever going to learn in life. And if you can do that, your cognitive dissonances will disappear. And then again, something that we were talking about yesterday about holding 2 opposing thoughts in the mind at the same time and identifying with neither. That is true wisdom, to be able to do that. So I just wanted to have that point. And to say the guy's name who did the experiments on the water is Dr. Masaru Emoto. I just wanted to get that out there as well.
Nice. Boom. There we go.
I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, we need like a bomb noise or something to go off there. Like, right. So that me and Joey don't digress even more down conversations. Now, I think this is important. It's not an important time. No, this is a good time to go into why you are who you are now. How did it all start? Like, how did you get to where you are with Organised, doing all the kind of the real food approach and amassing the following that you have done? Like the way that your Instagram has grown from a personal brand, I've been lucky enough to watch that happen over the last 3 to 4 months, and it's just exploded. Like I don't think I've ever seen anybody with like millions of views on their reels like yours does. It's just insane. So please start from the beginning. I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let you tell your story.
All right, sure. I'm going to try not to ramble because there's a lot that's happened. And yeah, also, again, like I'm 26. I'm so new to the game and there's so much happening. But this is hopefully a good example of how quickly things can change. So going back, I think when I was about 15, I was deep into, you just get like your hormones kicking in, you go through puberty. I was always skinny. I wanted to be that guy that was just big in the gym, muscles. That to me was just all I cared about, was going to the gym, getting muscles. No concept of how diet tied into it. Thought it was all movement and protein and mass gainer and pre-workouts. Like that was my diet. Just wake up, protein shake, go to the gym, protein shake. And do you know what? I almost don't even like talking about it because I just think about the stuff I was consuming. There was a good period of my life where I went to the gym on this horrible pre-workout. I really don't want to know what was inside of it. And would finish, and it was ritual to go to Sainsbury's and grab this, what was like a liter of chocolate milk. I would finish that, and then, oh my God, some of the stuff that I consumed. Anyway, a year into it, 16, had the worst acne I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen anyone with as bad acne that I had at that point. It was really debilitating. probably the lowest point in my life. And it happened for like 3 or 4 months before I really wanted to just do something about it and get a change. Again, I wasn't in a family of nutritionists. I didn't have that holistic background. I didn't know anything about it. I would turn to Roaccutane, and that was it was straight away just like, your body needs to get rid of it, whatever. So I was shown Roaccutane, and it was like, yeah, if it's going to work, let's do it. I had to take steroids to prepare my body for what was going to happen to it. I was given the side effects. I know my parents, I remember them because my parents are divorced, but at this point they're coming together, and I just remember them being on the phone a lot about it, saying, is this the right option? Because the side effects are so severe. I'm about 2 months into it, and I was getting nosebleeds. I felt super low. I felt really disconnected. And it's quite, in the moment, you're just going about your life, still going to the gym, still taking protein shit. But I just remember thinking, like, I just struggled to focus. And so before that, I had pretty much all A's in my GCSEs and was just like full into school, whatever. Then I was going through A levels at the same time as taking Roaccutane. And that year, I just couldn't focus, felt really disconnected, no idea where I was going, what I was doing, like just completely lost who I was. And I think the drugs had a massive part to play in that. Failed all my A levels and was just like, this is not for me. I think there's 2 elements. Like, one, I just couldn't study, couldn't focus. But at the same time, school just wasn't the right outfit for me. And it's so one system that just fits one way of living, and I can't learn from textbooks. So at that time I was working for my dad, and this is the biggest blessing I think I've ever had in my life, is that my dad has a business, and the one thing he's always given me is opportunity to work in his business. And he's quite hard on me, like, if I want anything in life, I've got to work for it. And it's the biggest lesson that it's just stayed with me. It's just working for everything. You can never get anything given to you. You've got to go out there and get it. So just fell in love with working, and was working with him since I was 14, deep into his business. And I remember there was a point where I was thinking, shit, just got all U's in my A levels. I can go redo the year, or I can just drop out. And I remember thinking, like, my dad dropped out at 16. My mum dropped out at 15. She's a hairdresser, has her own sort of like self-employed, absolutely loves it. My dad is so fulfilled doing his business. But I was like, how is that possible? They have such a good life. Like, I want that life, but they didn't go to school. So I was like, right, fuck school, got out of it, working for my dad. And I wanted to make good money. So money then became the incentive for me. So I went into, I built an app for my dad's company, developed that skill, and then just started making some apps, wanted to build a business. I then got enough knowledge on building apps that I applied for a job. Was like, you need to have all these qualifications. I was like, fuck that. If I can get into the interview, get in front of them, I'll tell them what I'm capable of. I'll take the lowest wage, whatever. Did that for 3 years, managed to get a job, and was making really good money. But I was living this 9 to 5. I moved into London, in the city. And again, like, just felt so unfulfilled with it. And my skin I was about 19 at this point. Skin was still not great. And the biggest thing that had the effect, like, I started taking supplements, getting into supplements and everything. But I kind of then realized that I was starting to learn about nutrition and how that played into it. And as soon as I cut out the processed food, I mean, some of the stuff I was eating, pizza with mayonnaise, ketchup, fish fingers, horrible shit, frozen food. Like, my go-to in the supermarket would be like down the frozen aisle, just quick, easy foods. As soon as I went away from that, then started cooking all of my meals. I didn't have a huge knowledge on nutrient-dense foods, but I was cooking all my own meals. My skin cleared up within about a few months of just doing that. So that was crazy for me, just understanding how nutrition came into it. I'm someone that wants to be optimal at everything that I do. So then I turned to supplements, but better quality supplements. I found the Health Guys, and I was the first employee there. They'd literally just started up. I was living with Lestat, founder of it. It was just us two working in his flat, and I became the guinea pig of supplements. And we get brands sent to us, and Lestat's just like full on the business side. But I was obsessed with taking this. How does it make me feel? And so I think I've always had this side to me that I love to experiment with things and see how it makes me feel. And I really developed that. So having football, playing a lot of football since I was 6, and having that as like what I do outside of football and how that affects me in football is a great way to see the results. So I got really into supplements. I started to get my bloods tested. then I realized that there was no movement on some of the nutrients that I was deficient in. I couldn't understand it. I was taking as many supplements as I could, specifically on the bloods I was missing, but there wasn't movement on. I remember I did 2 bloods 3 months apart and just saw no movement. And then I discovered the animal-based diet. And that's where I learned about nutrient-dense foods. The first book that I read was Mark Sisson's 2 Meal a Day. And it was, so it's 2 meals a day, and I do that 2 meals a day. But what I took from it wasn't the fact that you eat 2 meals. Like, that's not the important bit. It's eating intuitively. And intuitively, for me, is 2 meals a day. But what really caught my attention was the seed oils and the vegetable oils. And then I learned what is processed. When you don't eat processed foods, and my dad's a great example of this. I told him not to eat processed foods. He's like, yeah, my diet's fine. Go into his kitchen. Everything that he ate had processed. So it's not processed foods, it's processed ingredients. Yeah. And so then identify, and when you can read a label and you can kind of understand it, but when you know exactly what everything on every label is, you know what to avoid then. And that's the bit that I learned, and then went straight into this animal-based. It's a very minimalistic diet. So I cut everything out and then start to reintroduce things, and saw the effect that each thing had on me. For some reason, sweet potatoes, for example, I just don't agree with, but then rice, absolutely fine with it. So the minimalistic diet was really good because I could really understand what foods responded with me. About 3 years into working at health, I decided, because I used to think that supplements were just be all and end all, and then I realized the power of whole foods. I started taking different supplements. So I take collagen, organs, liver, heart, kidney. I was taking colostrum. I was taking electrolytes and everything, but I was making it myself at Celtic sea salt, putting lemon in. It was just convoluted, but also £250 a month. It's so expensive. And so that is where Organised came in, and I learned how you could formulate things. So I have a background. Like, one of my first businesses was a tea company. And so that allowed me I did that for a few years, like really understood how business works for one, but also how manufacturing works, how to formulate things. And so I used that and I applied it to formulating Organised, which took me a year to make. And we've obviously just launched. It's completely whole foods, and using that principle of whole foods. And my relationship with supplements has massively changed now, where I don't think it should be a reliance, but it's something that bolsters your nutrition. Mm-hmm. And so Organised isn't painted as this godlike supplement that you take and it's going to change your life. It's something that you can add to it as much as you want. It fits in really well. But the main message is get back to whole foods, get the whole foods into your diet. So that understanding of organs. We used to eat nose to tail about 70, 80 years ago. My grandparents would buy a cow and would eat the entire thing. My grandma grew up on a raw dairy farm in Ireland. She'd get a chicken and would be given like a little bit of the liver, a little bit of like this part of the chicken. And that is like the whole animal. And then her brother would share it. And like that one animal fed the entire, and you wouldn't just have the chicken breast or the chicken, like the best bits of it. And now in the supermarket with unlimited convenience, we only choose the muscle meat. So this is the big message, is getting back to nose to tail eating, why that's important, not just for waste and sustainability, but also the nutrients that we've literally evolved with. We would never waste anything because of how difficult food is to come by before, 100 years ago, whatever. Collagen, like from the bone marrow. And that's really what I'm going into. And then the other layer to it, which is kind of what we spoke about, but it's getting people back to farms. I've got a really big mission that I would love to just get away from the global supermarket chain. And it's way harder. So like, I still shop at Waitrose and stuff when I don't have access to farms, but I would love to make it easier for people to shop at farms. So one of the things I did was created an app that has every single raw milk farm, pretty much every grass-fed, high-quality farm that I've come by, raw honey, local and seasonal fruit and veg. I vet every single one and I put it on the app, and I just wanted to give it for free because honestly, it brings me so much joy when someone downloads the app, they find a farm that they never knew existed 20 minutes down the road, or they don't have access to one, but they found one online and they can shop to it, order it online, and they're getting back to the farms.
Bruv, I just want to add in there just quickly, and I don't want to spoil your flow because this is beautiful. But I downloaded your app and I'm like, I know every farm in my area. I'm like, I know exactly where I can get everything. I've been doing it for years. Opened your app, found 5 farms I had no idea about. I was like, I've got a raw goat farm near me. I was like, I had no idea. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. So the app is, shameless plug, but the app is brilliant. It really, really is. And I think considering what's going on in the world at the moment with the farmers and how they're being curtailed to stop doing what they're doing, they're being squeezed by pricing structures by the government and stuff, because they, me and Joe are going to be touching on one of these topics in our next podcast about what's happening in Holland at the moment. It's important that we support the farmers, because if we again go back to your grandparents living on the farm, that was a farm to table lifestyle. My grandparents farm to table. My granddad would eat like brain and ear and like trotters, and they would eat everything. And I, as a kid, I would try it, obviously, but like we are now trying to go back to the way that they lived, because that was actually the way to live. So anyway, plug of the app, brilliant app, download it. It's incredible. Go and buy raw dairy, raw honey, all of that stuff, but just make sure it's local and seasonal.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding, because I've seen the change in my life. And so Organised was a product that I created not with anything in mind of sales or market or whatever, like, oh, it's a growing trend, like none of that. It was purely, I was taking everything individually and I wanted to put it together into something that I could take every morning. And regardless of how dialed into to diet that I actually am, still struggle to get organs into my diet. But like there's organs I've never been able to consume: lung, brain, kidney, like things that are just not accessible from my local butcher because there's no demand for it. And so to have a product that has all of that in, I don't have to worry about trying to find it all the time. If I can get it fresh, I will always advocate to go to a butcher that sells liver to get the finest high quality. But to be able to have something that's a backup, it's making use of those organs and it's freeze dried to preserve the nutrients. I know the quality that goes into it because I have such a high standard of food that I eat myself. So if I'm buying a supplement, I want to know where is that farm based?
Yep.
What is the quality of the farm? Right now we source everything from Iceland, and one of the benefits is in a few countries in the world, and I don't know why it's only a few, it's not many, it's illegal to have to have GMO and to have hormones. And there's also a law on pasture rate, like how long is the cow actually pasture raised? Because you can have grass-fed meat from Lidl, but okay, when you look into where is that meat raised, what is happening to that meat after it's butchered, they can feed it grass pellets for 25% of the year, and the rest of it's just grain-fed. Indoors, battery farm, they have the minimal amount of space. There's no movement for the cows are such poor quality, fed all sorts of hormones to fatten them up, GMO foods to fatten them up, and that is something that if you have the ability to avoid, that's why going back to the farm and knowing the source is so important. How it's changed. So I speak a lot about it to people in my circle. My mum never ate meat, red meat. For 15 years, she suffered from IBS. Like, it became one of those things that before I had any idea, it was just like, oh, my mum's got IBS. And like, even in her mindset, I'm labeled with IBS. I'm stuck with this. I just have to deal with it. That was her mindset. And that was kind of what I thought as well. And one thing that really changed it for her was getting the nutrients back in, cutting the seed oils out, get her into the diet. It took a while, but I think she saw the effects that it had on me. Like, one thing was my hair and my skin improved like massively. I never used to have curly hair. So I don't know, like it was collagen or something, but just eating a nutrient-rich diet, my hair grew way more, became curly. There's a lot more color in my skin. I just feel like a lot healthier. And she saw that, which then opened her up to the red meat, getting it in. I'm really hot. Like, we live in the same house, so I'm able to kind of do the shopping with her. Like, no IBS. She hasn't had IBS since starting to include red meat into her diet and cutting out the seed oils. And so for her, it changed her life. And then my grandparents saw that in my mum, and it's like, I created this product and it's like, oh yeah, I want to support you and stuff. Like, it's a cool product, but they didn't really care, and like, whatever. Saw the effects of my mum. And so my granddad is 90 years old. My grandma's 86. When you get to that age, you have a huge loss in collagen. It's really difficult to retain weight. You become frail. They do move around a bit, doing pretty well, but like just starting to struggle. I've given them Organised and I've told them the effects. They've taken it. My grandma's now on the third bag. She literally can't go a day without it because my granddad was really, really frail about a couple of months ago. And just like, we could see it in him, and we're just like even talking about it as a family, really worried. He's been taking it every single day and has regained muscle. He's fuller in the face. He has energy. He's literally a different person. And it's crazy that at 90, you can go downhill, take a couple of steps, get nutrients back in. It gives you the energy to want to move. He's now got better sleep. He's a different person. And it's like, so many people get to a certain age and they see that they have a sore joint or something and they accept it and, okay, this is me, I'm fucked now. But it's like, no, my granddad reversed what he was going through and is a different person now and has a new quality of life because of such a small, simple thing of getting nutrients back into his diet.
Yeah. That's incredible, dude. And again, that must be such a rewarding feeling for you that you've created something which was for you. And then it's had this knock-on effect to your entire family where they've seen how it's changed you and they've gone, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. And then you've healed your mum, you've replenished your granddad and your nan. I mean, I think it's just amazing. You can't have any bigger impact on anything than that. I think that's beautiful, man. Well done. Honestly, really, really good, man. Really good.
It took me a while to have the confidence that what I was doing was, because I remember when I was playing football and I was going through it and I was like, if I eat a lot of red meat, a lot of saturated fat, and I thought that was bad for me. I thought it was cholesterol and I thought it was going to make me difficult to breathe when I was on the pitch, and then like all these thoughts going in. And I remember hearing like Joe Rogan saying that he's full carnivore, and I was reading the Mark Sisson book, and it's crazy. Like we have such a strong idea of like what cholesterol does in the mainstream media, and when I really looked into it, it was kind of around. So it was a couple of years ago. I had this opportunity come up to work with Paul Saladino, and this is when I knew the benefits for myself. But again, like I was not tried and tested. My mum wasn't yet on it. I hadn't really seen anyone around me go into it. I felt great. I really believed in it, but I didn't have the evidence, the stack of undeniable proof that I want to give this to other people yet. Then I went to work for Paul Saladino in Costa Rica, just a fluke kind of random opportunity, became a videographer, one of the best experiences in my life. But I was managing his social media and I was looking at every single message that came in. And honestly, there are thousands and thousands of people every week that message with, and it's crazy. Like I wish he would share it more, to be honest. Like he does a great job of sharing it, but there's so many people that have changed their lives, lactose intolerant, couldn't have milk. They've got immune disorders, eczema, asthma, gone. They just take raw milk. It's like you've got the lactase in the raw milk, which breaks down the lactose. It is not the same thing that you get from the supermarket. Homogenized, it's broken up, it's been heated to 100 plus degrees. That destroys the digestive enzymes, the probiotics. It is not the same product as fresh raw milk. And I saw so many people, and I was like, wow, like, because it's like this everything we've grown up and learning about lactose intolerant. You cannot have milk; it will fuck you up. All these things, and then all these people saying that now they have raw milk every day, and lactose intolerance, like for them, is gone. They don't have, and not just that, they have the nutrients. They feel better. They don't have asthma anymore. They don't have eczema anymore. Their immune disorders have gone because they've included something that's so nutrient dense, got the probiotics, they've healed their gut. And a funny story on that is when we launched Organised, by this point, I'm so confident, and I've started to get my mom and see my grandparents on it. I remember on the launch day, we did, and this is why I was so busy on the stand, but we had raw buffalo milk, and I brought in 50 litres from a farm that's just down the road from my dad. They're the only farm, Buffalicious. They're honestly so great. And I met the founders. I speak to them a lot, obviously first name basis now that I bought 50 litres from them. Brought it to the stand, and the amount of people that I got that were lactose intolerant told them the benefits. But there was one girl specifically, and I kind of know her, so like she trusted me, but she has severe lactose intolerant symptoms. Whenever she drinks anything from the supermarket, just went all in. And I was like, oh God, like I gave her this giant glass of raw buffalo milk, but I was actually really confident that she just needed it. And there's like a few signs of like nutrient deficiency. Anyway, give her this raw buffalo milk. She just went for it, like the whole thing, came back for more, had more. So this is 2 cups of raw buffalo milk. And this is someone that has struggled their entire life with severe symptoms whenever drinking anything from the supermarket. That was in the morning. I caught up with her in the evening. She came back to the stand. She was like, what was in that? She was like, I have this endless energy. There's no symptoms at all. I feel fucking unbelievable. And that's like, wow, it's so crazy that we just have this perception of everything and we don't try that. And I get slated online for promoting raw buffalo milk or raw milk or whatever. And it's like, have you tried it yourself? Because how can you slate something that you haven't tried? And you'd rather trust this processed food that's gone through fucking God knows what, bleached and added solvents and preservatives and natural flavors, and it's recreating this artificial thing to make you hooked. Like, that's fine, like Diet Coke, whatever, like you'll have that. But something that's come straight out of a cow, one ingredient, untouched, oh no, fuck that, you're killing people with that. Like, that mindset is crazy for me.
Yeah, it is.
It's fear-driven though, isn't it? Fear-driven.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. It's a cognitive dissonance. As again, we spoke about this yesterday, about how it's a very touchy subject in the way that you have to almost convince people, because their whole belief structure is being shook. You're saying raw milk is good for you. The milk you buy from the supermarket is not good for you. Coca-Cola is not good for you. This isn't good for you. And they're going, wait a minute. That's my entire existence. You're now telling me is not good for me. So that means my entire life is a sham. The last 20, 30, 40, 50 years is bullshit. Yes, it is what I'm telling you. But that's a hard pill to swallow for so many people, for so many reasons. We've done it over time. We've adjusted our compass over time. We're saying to them, do it now, which is a big like slap in the face to them, where they're like, really? Do it all now in one day? Maybe we should say that. Maybe we should be like, look, raw milk, as you did with that girl, have a glass, see how you feel. If you feel good after 24 hours or so, probably don't down 2 glasses of milk in one hit, but maybe like after 24 hours, if you're feeling good, have another glass, or add it to a coffee or whatever, or add it to your organized shake, whatever. Like, try it. Just try it. This is what I say to people with the whole light thing that I'm doing. Right? Just try it. And the thing is, as well, is like, be consistent. Don't just do it the one time and be like, no.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know? You've only done it once. You've got to keep going. You have to keep going, and you have to keep trying it more and more and more and more and more, so that you build up that potential intolerance to it. And if that does happen, then you back down again. But that won't happen, because, as you say, it's meant to be drunk that way. Obviously, yes, it's for another animal, but still, we have the capacity to digest it. So why wouldn't we, right? It's not like you're going to be running around at the age of 30 trying to grab some breast milk. So why not use an animal? If that's what it's there for, and that's what we've been doing, you might want to, I don't know, but that maybe yeah, exactly. Listen, we've got a whole new idea for Hooters, right? As we've got a whole new idea for that place. Just do breast milk. Just have all
unpasteurized, unhomogenized
breast milk,
exactly, milk, baby,
and then squirt it into a glass. And we're banned.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
It's funny, it reminds me, there's a guy that I follow, and one thing I'm learning about Organised and the product and the community it's hit the most is the female health, holistic, functional pregnancy community, fertility community, postpartum, prenatal, women that want to do home births. They want to do everything as natural as possible. They don't want to cut the umbilical cord. They want to get the nutrients into the baby. They want to go away from the hospital. That community has a huge understanding of the product already, which blew my mind. It's kind of obvious now I say it, but I had no idea. That's the biggest demographic of people that responded to this product. And there's a guy that I follow, and he's kind of, him and his wife are creating these, because he looks into like baby food, and baby food is another topic. Having had 4 brothers, seeing what they're on, and at the time I didn't really understand it, but when I look at what the ingredients were, the second ingredient on it, sunflower oil, sugar, like it's so fine, it's so far away from nature. So what he's done, he's created these what is it, like, I think he takes braised beef, blends it up, so it's just literally just meat blended up with his wife's breast milk, and he freezes it and creates these little cubes, and it's like 2 ingredients in an absolute nutrient dense powerhouse, and that's what he's given his kid, and his kid looks great. That is like, that's the route that people should go down. It's taking things in their own hands, doing the education, like, if you're going to bring a kid into this world, have the ability to go and do the research and give your kid the best chance in life, the highest amount of nutrients, going away from what you're given, because everyone else takes, these baby formulas that have been created in the laboratory. Everyone else gives their kid these polyester leaching nappies and all this stuff. It's like
holes, yeah, man. Like,
the information's there. Like, it's just obvious.
Yeah, I agree, man. And so refreshing as well to hear that, because this is something that I was discussing with my client the other day who's got 2-year-olds, and this is why we're starting this health journey. So what you do, you are the role model. Like, if we can change your belief system and change little things over time, it will get better. But we are not just what we eat, digest, absorb, think and breathe, but we are what the animal ate as well. Going back to that whole light thing we discussed at the beginning. So when you combine the two products, like that guy blending up meat and breast milk is far more nutrient dense than this product that you find on the shelves in Sainsbury's, powdered, full of gums, full of additives, full of shit that is not natural. Shouldn't be served. But you know, if you were to sell that in a supermarket, it wouldn't be on the shelves at all.
No.
Because it's all controlled from the greater level. You know, that's the rabbit hole. Yeah. We go down that rabbit hole.
I know you guys do the tinfoil hat section, so we can come back to that. But I mean, linking back to you are what you eat, you are what the animal eats. That's one of the reasons that I get asked a lot, why do I eat specifically beef? I don't really eat chicken. Chicken being a monogastric animal, what you give to it gets very much just stored in the fat. It's so difficult to look at the quality, to find quality chickens in the UK. If you can, it's amazing. But they need to be out there eating in a pasture, their normal diet, which is like worms and grubs and random little bits in there. And that's why the regenerative farms are so amazing, because they've got a system of animals. And I mean, my dream is to have where I get my ingredients for Organised in Iceland. I want to recreate that in the UK and bring it to the UK. And there's a few people doing it, but we don't actually, there's no collagen suppliers in the UK, which is crazy to me. But a regenerative farm is something it's a farm that does it very traditional. This is how they would have done it for a long, long time. And we've lost this process and we're starting to get it back. There are people that do it. And the results are maybe a lower yield, but the yield is crazy quality. They care about the animals. So they rotate the animals. Every animal has a job on grazing, which disrupts the roots in the grass, which causes the grass to grow. The cows then get moved to another field. The chickens come, and there's like this whole system. And then you have like leaves that fall, and you let leaves there, and it's like it's symbiosis with the mold and the grass that grows, and then you get richer soil, and it gives nutrients to the soil. And right now, cows are on a field. They completely decimate that field, but they stay on the field. Then they're given corn and everything, and the soil gets depleted. And then you look at going away from animals. It's just like you go into wheat and like where bread comes from. We have huge fields that just get the commercial monocrop agriculture. It's on such a huge scale, and then it gets sprayed with glyphosate, and so there's so many issues with commercial farming. And that's again why it's so good to go back to the smaller farms, because they will be doing it traditionally, because they can't afford to do it on a giant scale, so they'll have to do it traditionally. You can go there, you can see for yourself, you can speak to them, you can see if you can get vegetables without glyphosate. If you find something organic, that's waste organic. Like it makes a huge difference. And it's also peace of mind. Like one of the biggest things that when you start to talk about these subjects and it definitely did for me, like it scared the shit out of me, because I had been eating that way. But then I kind of learned to get gratitude for having found it out at such a young age, or even just finding it out at all. So now I have the tools, the knowledge, the understanding, the capability. I'm fortunate enough that I know where a farm is. I can go there. I know what I'm looking for. And that's like, it is scary, but it's also just be grateful that now you have the knowledge to then do your own research. And I want people to start challenging everything they hear, like even challenge me, what I say, like, why do I say that thing? Like, where have I got that from? And so I think once you adopt that mindset, you start to look into things yourself, because everyone wants, I know there's so many people that's like they're mindlessly like NPCs, and we were speaking about yesterday, just going about their life. But when you start to fearmonger and scare people, you have to do it in a certain way with empathy, but it gives them then the incentive to go and research for themselves. And that's where the changes in their decisions start to happen. And they can buy better quality food. And yeah, I mean, there is a fine line between just going online and shitting on everything that people do and scaring the shit out of them, because there needs to be a level of empathy. And it's very easy to live this lifestyle. To go into London, you see pretty much everyone walking around with a vape, AirPods in, drinking out of a plastic cup that's heated, full of microplastics. And you get, even if a paper cup, that's lined with plastic, and it's not a hard plastic. It's a very thin, impermeable layer of plastic that, when it's heated, just it's crazy the amount of microplastics are in that. And just little things like that. It's very easy to look at that and say, oh God, why is that person doing that? But I was doing it because I wasn't in the environment where I was grown up to have that knowledge. I had to go and do research myself.
100%. 100% agree with that.
That's why we're here. That's why we are all separately on the journeys that we're on, but also collectively while we're on the journeys that we're on together right now. The reason why we're doing this podcast is because it needs to get out to people. People need to know this stuff, because mainstream media is not going to put it out there. They're not going to tell you not to drink those things and not to do these things, because that's going to upset the centralized system. And this is something which I know you're doing, and what me and Joey are doing, which is we're gifting health back to people to put it into their hands again, so it becomes their choice. Because the food industry, the medicine, big pharma, the media, this is all centralized systems. It's all run by higher governmental bodies that tell them what to do. You know, if you look at that map of the food industry, every company is owned by like 5 companies, like Nestle, Kellogg's, and all the rest of them. They like own every single food outlet possible and every single food product possible, just amongst 5 companies. They've not got your best interest in heart. And it's the same with the pharmaceutical industry. All the medicines are produced by like 5 companies. Shock. Funny that. Same with tobacco. All those products are owned and run by the same companies. And those companies also are part of the pharmaceutical industry, and the food industry, which is weird. But we're now saying to people, let's decentralize that. Let's give you the Bitcoin version of health. Let's allow you to make these decisions for yourself and decide, do you want to carry on as you are? If you do, cool. But there is another way. There's a healthier way. There's a more natural way. And these are the tools. Here's your Batman utility belt for decentralized health and living a whole food lifestyle. Take it and do that as you wish. And that's all we can do. But that is why we are here. And I think this is such an important message, because so many people are confused. Because even when you look at nutritionists, some of the top nutritionists in the world, they argue with each other. No, this is better. That's better. No, you shouldn't have 20 grams of protein per meal. It should be 21.4 grams of protein per meal, like it matters. It's like, that's why everyone's confused, because there's no consistent narrative. It's always conflicting, because that's what brings in the drama. It's all clickbaited and nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. So this is why messages like this need to be spoken repeatedly, because we're in a very small echo chamber. And we need it to go bigger. We need it to be more viral. So yeah, it's good that people react to the stuff that you post, because that brings the attention to it. And that's important. It means that you're shaking some trees and rattling some cages. That's important. So this message is important, and we're going to push this as much as we can, because everybody needs to know. Everybody needs that little bit of a light the fire beneath them to realize that they are actually in control of their own destiny. They've just been told that they're not, when they actually are.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's also, just to bring it back, talk about big pharma and these industries. We live in a society where money is put on a pedestal. Everything revolves around money. And when you are growing up, 19, you put money on a pedestal. You prioritize having fun, like going out, drinking stuff and whatever. Like, that is above your health. And then you get into working into these corporate jobs, and it's all about money. And you are just a number turning up to the company. And that's the system that we're in. But that system isn't just in corporate business. It's in hospitals. Hospitals are a business. Everything is run with money is the incentive. And that's just because you could say, oh, fuck, these companies are, the people that work for them are horrible people. Like, why would they ever do this? And that, I think that's the thing. It's like, when you start to talk about these ideas, you're like, why would someone ever want to do that? And it's because they're working a job where their job depends on making profits, going to the board, and showing that they've made enough profit that year to retain their job. So they don't have a choice. It's not the people, it's just the system that we're in. And I think once you realize that hospitals are a business, and they operate on the number of people that are sick And the more people that are sick, the more people that buy medicine, the more money that flows. That's just an unfortunate way that we just live in that system. So you can take it into your own hands. A really nice story that I heard recently, don't know all the details, but it's a really nice thought regardless, is the Chinese emperor a couple of like 2,000 years ago, and it's quite a famous story, had a doctor, and it was told that he only paid the doctor when he was well. So if he was ill, the doctor didn't get paid. That then flips the incentive that he needs to make him better. If that was the system, and it's impossible in the amount of people that live in cities and everything, it's impossible to do. But that idea of being paid for people's benefit is so beautiful, and we are in the reverse. It's like people need to be sick to make money for the world to work and the world that we live in, the society, and it's just unfortunate.
Good old Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Ruined it for everybody because it was petroleum-based medicine.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a tinfoil hat moment right there, I think.
Exactly. I mean, you look into, but is it a tinfoil hat section? Because you can find so the biggest thing for me is like raw milk, making that pasteurized. And we spoke about like why alcohol, cigarettes, processed food. I mean, processed foods don't even have a label to tell people the negatives. Like cigarettes, okay, they've got warnings on those. Alcohol is a little bit around it. Processed foods have literally no label to warn you of how bad they are, but they're fine. You can buy them from the store because they make money. It's an industry. Raw milk is illegal to buy from a supermarket. You can get it from the farm in the UK. In Australia, completely outlawed. A lot of states in the US, completely outlawed. You can't even get it from the farm. New York State. It's ridiculous. But when you look into it, why did that happen? Like, why is that? And I looked into it, and there's like the people that put the law in order. You can see the transcript from the court case. I believe in the 1930s, 1940s, Rockefeller went to the government, and you can literally see the word for word conversation that was transcribed that day of him explaining the dangers of raw milk, which, you know, someone that's grown up in a family where my grandma was on a raw milk farm in Ireland is a load of bullshit. But then you look at, okay, he's got businesses around pharmaceutical industries, he has pasteurization facility, he has farm connections, he has an idea of how he can grow his business. The way that he can make more money and get to that next layer is to fuck raw milk, because that's making people better. That's a natural medicine. That's a probiotic. It's a digestive enzyme. It cures eczema, cures asthma. That's losing him money. He needs people to have the illness, attach the label to them so they think they have it forever. And then their life is to take the medication. They are on that medication for life, rather than something that fixes the root cause. And the root cause is generally nutrient deficiencies, or you're getting something into your diet that you shouldn't be.
Boom. Hang on.
We need that.
Can't you? It's like even with the guys that were practicing in alternative medicine, natural, holistic medicine, in that time of the Rockefeller situation. And yeah, they were all debunked. They were all thrown in jail for having a different viewpoint. Because it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't centralized. It wasn't making money. And that's when you strip back, you think, who's in control? And I think I delivered a very good piece on this as well at the seminar that I ran at my local gym on the gut health stuff, didn't I, Mark? And on the first slides, we're in this mess because of these top companies, and most people there had their minds blown, like, oh my God. But it's sort of creating a new way of thinking. It's very, very important to, you know, have a mindset where you're open and willing, because I was very closed off for years until this functional health stuff came around and the whole blood stuff. And because I knew firsthand, and like you, Niall, how ill it was making me. So when you have that penny drop moment, your back's up against the wall, like, this can't be right. I'm not getting well. I'm doing all the right things. I'm, you know, on mass gainer shakes, because I can relate to all that stuff. When you strip it down back into nature, away from the concrete jungles, eating natural, seasonal, organic, if you can, unprocessed local food. We call soul foods. We should coin that. Soul foods, baby. Your whole world can change.
You know, something interesting, and I think this is the point where I really just started to uncover a lot of this. And it wasn't when I was doing Organised, it wasn't working at Health or anything. It was before that, when I had my tea company. So it started off, I was growing these herbs in my garden. My aunt, is quite into growing her own herbs and vegetables, and dives quite deep into the herbalism. So it got me into it. I was growing these herbs, putting it together. And what I loved was I could make this energy and focus blend that was just sage, rosemary, green tea, and these things that I'm growing myself and putting into this tea bag and being able to give to friends and family. That's how I got into the tea business. And along that way, we started to get orders. I then scaled it, got a manufacturer in the UK who would blend and bring in the ingredients. And I'm just deep into what is the best Ayurvedic herbs and roots I can get my hands on to put into a tea, to give to people, to cure specific ailments, because I'm seeing benefits in myself. I'd like to get that. And I love herbal tea. When it's done right, I think it's really, really powerful, and there's so many benefits to it. Something that shocked me was the limitation that I had on what I could access because of legality reasons. For example, valerian root is known to increase your sleep, and when you have better sleep, your body heals. It's illegal to put in tea, and there are companies that do it, and I think there's a slight relax on it, but the manufacturer I was working with strictly avoided a lot of these ingredients, and it was like, oh, it's illegal to put that in, you can't access it. You look into why, it's like FDA, all these things, and you have to go through all this process. They make it impossible for you to be able to use these ingredients, and it's something that grows from nature. You want to give something that grows in nature, package it up and give it to people in a very accessible way. I mean, no one's growing valerian root in their garden. Like, you want to be able to give that to people to have access to. You can't, because it's illegal. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, think of the logic, right? Think of the logic. Okay, so here's a natural herb which has got many sleep benefits and GABA promoting benefits to help calm the analytical mind and stop the mind racing before you go to bed. It helps you with a deeper sleep. A little bit like blue lotus as well, like the Egyptians used to use. That's more of an aphrodisiac one, but if you take it as a tea before bed, it decompresses the nervous system and it puts you into a dreamlike state when you dream. So it helps you with that kind of connection to self through your dream state. But that's not allowed because big government says so, or the FDA says so. But again, no, please go and smoke the 1,200 chemicals that are in that cigarette. That's fine.
Or vape.
Or vape, yeah. Go and vape some formaldehyde and heavy metals and sugar, which is more addictive than cocaine, and 10 times more nicotine in one hit than a cigarette. Please go and do that too with your Fruity Loops flavor, because, we all know that adults like Fruity Loops. It's nothing to do with children that we want vaping at all. Yeah, go and do all of that. That's legal. But no, you can't have valerian. No. No, that's illegal. Yeah. Really? Really? Right?
Like, have you boys seen this as well? This is possibly one of the reasons why our development of our supplement paused, because of this issue.
Yeah.
Tonkat Ali is now being proposed in petition to be banned now in the UK.
Yep.
And we know that is because there's a rapidly declining male testosterone epidemic and fertility issue at hand. But
they want that.
Yeah, they want that to happen.
They want that to happen. It's no surprise that women's energies are becoming more masculine and man's energies are becoming more feminine, because when that happens, you don't have people that can reproduce. You've got more men now, single and sexless, than ever before. And you've got more men now with incredibly low testosterone, where they couldn't get it up if you gave them a 4x4 and nailed it to it. Like, this is, it's true. This is a really poor state to be in. I remember when I was 20, I'd have hammered drywall, where you've got 20-year-olds now, like, they couldn't get it up if you tried. Like, what is going on? Well, that is what's going on, because it's deliberate, almost, again, I know people misquote this guy all the time, they don't like him, but Andrew Tate was saying this for a long time, that they're deliberately trying to basically eunuch guys, stop them being able to produce and not have the high levels of testosterone, because men are the ones who challenge. Men are the ones that go against the grain, that say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead, because that's the better thing to do. Well, if you remove testosterone, you remove a lot of the manly characteristics, and you create these men that are all weak and feeble, and they just want to sit at home all day and not do anything. And, you know, the missus is going out doing all the work. She's the one doing the work. And again, please, women, I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying, like, you know, we've got masculine, feminine roles here. There are things that are more suited to a man than to a woman. But that is the polarity. Just read David Dieter's book, The Way of the Superior Man, masculine, feminine polarities. The man has to have the masculine energy. The woman has to have the feminine. Taoism talks about it with the yin and the yang. Yang is masculine, yin is feminine. There is this join. You know, the woman is the empty vessel and the man is the thing that goes inside it. That is how everything works. But when you start to separate that and you start to kind of like diverge the sexes, and you have this misunderstanding of what everybody's roles are and what it is to be a man and what it is to be a woman, well, this is when you start getting these things where people are like, I don't identify as either. I'm not surprised. I'm generally not surprised, because hormonally and from a psychological perspective, you've got such mixed messaging and such mixed hormones that you don't know where you are and what you're doing and who you are. And that explains a lot of what's going on. And it's all deliberate. It's all deliberate, because this is how they're trying to, again, like curb the civilization issue where everybody's overpopulating. I get that, but there's other ways of doing that. You don't have natural selection will do that. There's always going to be a 50-50 blend of men and women. That's just how life is. You're not going to get, again, nature doesn't make any mistakes. There's not more lions than there are lionesses. There's always a balance. There has to be. And nature will find a way if they just let it be. But you've got these guys that are just power hungry, that just want to control everything. You know, you've got Bill Gates walking around with his floppy man boobs and his big fat belly telling us how to eat, how to be healthy. Oh, eat insects. Oh, okay, Bill. All right, I'll come to you when I want a pair of man boobs.
Yeah, add bug milk in your coffee. It's good for you.
Oat milk and bugs. Great. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that lifestyle, fuck's sake.
I think one thing that people can do right now, listening to this, that maybe they're worrying about their hormones, they're worrying about their sleep, something's not quite right, they're hearing this and they're like, shit, like maybe it's hitting home a little bit. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's like the UVA that we get in the morning has such a profound effect on hormones, cortisol spike, setting us up for the day, norepinephrine, neurotransmitters. I mean, you can explain it better than I can, but when you did explain what it does to the brain, it was like, oh shit, that's why I feel so good in the morning. And this is one of the changes. So literally wake up, you have two choices. You grab your phone, you stay in bed for an hour, maybe you woke up at like 8. By the time you get out of bed, it's like 9:30, you've just scrolled, blue light, absorbed all of that. Okay, I'm gonna get outside now. Well, you're too late, because the UVA right now in the summer is between 6:30 and 7:30, roughly around that time. You get outside, you hit that UVA, that's the first thing that you get in the morning.
Yep.
All of a sudden you're getting this spike of cortisol, which you want in the morning. It's going to make you feel fucking fired up, ready. It's that, maybe you feel tired when you wake up, but it's like getting up at the same time every single morning makes it easier. You get outside, within 15 minutes, that grogginess is completely gone. And you're now thinking clearly about what needs to be done for the day. It just sets you up for and it's such a small thing. And I've been saying it for so long, like get up, go outside, ground, whatever. But like, when I really looked into what was happening chemically with the hormones and the cortisol spike, the neuroleptin, like these dopamine boosts that you get in your brain, that's the difference. And I know it's so clear. It's a pattern. The difference between a good day and a bad day is how I start my day. And there's things you can do in the evening to set yourself up, but like really just avoiding the phone, like it's so tempting. One thing that I've done is just put it in like airplane, whatever, but I put it in a different room. So if I have to get my phone, if I really like something like so exciting, sometimes, like I launched a business, I want to see how it's doing. I'm so excited to just check notifications and stuff. If you put it in a different room, you have to get up. And then it's like you're standing up and you're looking at your phone like, oh, I might as well just get outside. Then you get outside and it's like a pattern interrupt. And so once you can build that pattern, you're outside, do that for a week, same bedtime, same sleep time, wake time, get outside, ground, really fine tune your body. Within a week, you'll be a different person. If you're currently lying in bed, grabbing your phone straight away, which is so easy to do. Like it's not, there's times where I do that. I'm like, fuck, I've actually just fucked my day. And I know the difference between a good day and a bad day. And it's generally getting outside and starting it right.
Yep, I agree. So for anybody that wants to know the mechanics of that, so at sunrise, you get the infrared and red light spectrum And not just two spectrums, you get all the red light and infrared light spectrums. The red light goes onto the skin, the infrared light passes through the skin. This goes in and starts activating a peptide called POMC. This gets chopped up into certain things. One of those things it gets chopped up into is a peptide that releases cortisol. So this is why you get that awakening response. It's called the morning cortisol awakening response. So that happens in the infrared section. But this is where, when I'm doing, and everybody that follows me will see every morning I do a sunrise shot, I'm actually grounding in the park. I've got a zip hoodie that I wear to the park. And when I get to the park, I undo my zip hoodie and I expose my stomach and my chest to the sky. Not necessarily directly to the sun, but to the sky. And that's because that's where a lot of the POMC peptide is, the pro-opa-melanocortin is. Well, that bit's then done. I've done my sunrise. I'm there for like 10 minutes. I've grounded, exposed my skin, and I've released the cortisol that's needed. And then pregnenolone starts to kick up. And pregnenolone is the master hormone. Okay, it's like the mother hormone. And at the same time, once you see that sunrise, leptin undocks for the brain, and that's a master hormone. This has now told your body how many calories you need in the day based on how much body fat you've got. So if you don't get leptin undocked from the brain at the right time, your body doesn't get that signal, and it automatically thinks that you're hungry more than what you are, and you'll overeat for the rest of the day. So that's going to help control fat loss and weight gain and stuff like that. If you then, as Niall says, go out between the times of UVA, which at the moment is like 6 until, I think it's about 8:15 at the moment, just go for a UVA walk. And again, expose as much skin as you can and take your fucking sunglasses off. You don't need sunglasses because they're dark, and they're telling your eyes and the suprachiasmatic nucleus behind it and the melanopsin receptors at the back catching everything that it's dark. It's telling your brain that it's nighttime at like 7 in the morning. Take your glasses off and snap them in half and throw them in the bin because they are useless for you. Go outside at that UVA time and get sunlight on your face and on your skin. What this now does is it tells pregnenolone to start being chopped up into all of your steroidal hormones: adrenaline, norepinephrine, testosterone, estrogen, prolactin, follicular stimulating hormone, you name it. It gets converted into all of them. This will now regulate your hormonal imbalances and make you actually have a hormonal balance. But what's really cool is the neurotransmitter stuff. So tyrosine will get turned into serotonin, that makes you feel good, and tryptophan will get turned into dopamine, which makes you want to get up and do stuff. So all of a sudden, you're now high on your own supply just by going for like a 15-minute walk. Do those two things every single day for a month. I guarantee you your life will change in ways that you've never, ever thought of. And it's a simple, free thing to do. No hack, no supplement, no peptide, no nothing. Just go and do that. Don't have your coffee. Just go and do that. Then come back and get on with your day and see how you feel. If you're in the car at that time of the morning, just undo your window, roll your sleeves up, get the light in. It will still do the same thing. Light acts as a wave. It will flow like water and it will rebound off things because it's also a particle frequency. So it will do all these things. Do that and just do it consistently, because that's how success happens. Success is just consistency over time. Do that every day. And I guarantee, even on the weekends, no sleeping in, do that. 3 of us all on this call right now do this, and it has remarkably changed our lives. There's no gassing up here. This is what we do. You've got Niall who does it, and he's been doing it before we met him. You've got me that does it, who's been doing it before I met him, and a little bit before, not before I met Joey, but around about the same time we started doing it, and Joey doing it as well. And we're all saying we feel fucking amazing. So why wouldn't you? Makes sense to me. It's free. Go and do it. Have fun. Even on cloudy days, even on rainy days, even on snowy days, get outside.
Building habits like that are really interesting to me, because I've been looking into ways that I used to get really excited. I remember I found Ben Greenfield and he shared his morning routine. And I was like, oh my God, I sat there with pen and paper, wrote down 20 different things he does, fucking the order of everything. He does this coffee and enema and then goes for a shit. Like I wrote down everything. I was like to a T. I was like, this guy, he looks unreal. And then I'm trying to follow it. And there are so many different things in there. A few days in, I'm like fucking lost. And it's just, fuck that. It's too much work. Something like that's really simple. But what I find helps having that as an incentive to do that. And it's like building a ritual, and everyone's got things that they enjoy differently. Generally, for the majority of people, it's coffee or a hot drink, a tea, a herbal tea, whatever it is in the morning. Finding that thing that is your morning bliss, and that is your goal to get to that, is like the reward.
Yeah.
So as an example with me, I love coffee. I love to work with the ultra in state, getting on the coffee, doing it the right way with hydrating before and everything. So like that for me is like that moment in the morning is what I wake up so excited to do. Before I can have my coffee, I need to get up, go outside. And if I don't do this, the coffee's fucked because I just feel guilty. So I get up, I go outside, I ground, I drink spring water, I'm hydrated, I do everything right to make that one reward even better. And then by the time it's like an hour and a half in, boom, like, yeah, now I can go and sit down outside. If it's a sunny day, it's 10 times better. Outside, I journal what I've got to do for the day whilst drinking my coffee. That is like, and no one's up at this point. So it's just on my own in the garden, super quiet, peaceful. I'm quite introverted. I love that time to myself in the morning. And find out what that is for you, like that one moment of joy, whether it's a hot drink or something. Just find to get to that point, use that as the incentive. If you do everything right before that, that moment is so much better. And that's the incentive to get out of bed. I have the windows always like blinds open and stuff, and going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. I literally open my eyes. I can tell what time it is. I don't even need to look at my clock because I've done it so many times. I can tell by the light and just the feeling. I know what time of the day it is. I get up outside. I'm like, I cannot wait to get outside and just, because it's that like when you do it so many times, you know how you're going to feel. I know when I'm standing there grounding, drinking water, I'm like, shit, this is going to be a good day. And if you can do that every day, imagine you have a good day every single day for a week or a month. And it's like what you can achieve. If you used to keep having bad days and you're like, oh, this day's fucked. And it's like, you don't achieve as much. So it's like that momentum, just building that momentum. But all these habits revolve around an incentive, something that you can kind of reward yourself with. It doesn't need to be shit food or whatever. Like maybe you just like to have eggs on toast outside. Like that's your reward. Build up to that moment and make those eggs on toast even tastier.
Yep, I agree. That's called delayed gratification, and it's been proven to work due to the marshmallow test. So definitely do that. I think that's an absolute bombshell to end on, unless you have something to add, Joey.
No, I think it's been great. I think we should, let the listeners,
absorb it all.
Absorb all the light, all the information that we've shared today.
So before we go and we end this and we wrap this up, Niall, where can everybody find you and find your company?
Yeah, so my personal platform's Niall Kiddle, just my name. And on there, I'm posting a lot about just routine, holistic health, nutrition specifically, how it all sort of ties in. I try to give everything that I'm learning. Like I've been doing this for a few years. Like I still see myself as a beginner. I see myself as a student. Everything I'm putting on there is evolving. And that ties into Organised, my supplement I've just launched. It's a whole food supplement powder. That is also evolving. So the way that I've set everything up is the entire brand, and this is like what really excites me. It's like the entire brand is built around one product. It makes it so simple. This one product is the whole food powder that I personally use. It helps me with my life, helps with my little brothers who are 3, 5, 7, and 9 to get organs in the diet, helps with my granddad who's 90 to fill out, get weight, feel stronger, improve his walking. It's all around this one supplement. As I said before, it's so easy to just get attached to ideologies. My idea with Organised is that it's the vehicle that's carrying my beliefs and my learnings and everything is going into this product. What it is now is probably not what it's going to be in 6 months or a year or 2, whatever, because I'm going to keep making it better, improving on it as I learn. Right now, this is everything I've learned in the last 26 years of being on this planet has gone into this one product. I solely believe I would put everything on this right now. But as I learn, the product's going to evolve. You can find that at organised.co.
Amazing. Thank you, brother. Joe, I'll leave the closing section to you.
Great. Well, thank you guys for listening. And Niall, it was an absolute pleasure talking with you, connecting with you. And we'll be back. I
think we should do a round 2.
Yeah, 100% in person.
Definitely.
Yes, we'll do it in person. We'll come to yours. We'll do a little lake swim or whatever it is, and we'll do a podcast there.
That'd be cool.
All right, agreed. It's done. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. There's no backing out. It's going to happen.
It's a date. Let's do it.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, thank you very much. Stay blessed, everybody.